Welcome back to another episode of J Crypto. I'm super excited today. I'm joined by Jawad from Virtua. Jawad, can you kind of give a little bit about yourself and what your role is and how long you've been with Virtua too, just real quickly? Because I'm very excited for this interview. But why don't we get that out of the way before we begin?
Okay, yeah, no problems. Well, first, thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here. So I'm Jawad Ashraf. I'm CEO of Virtua. Um, Set this up about at the tail end of 2017 with my co-founder Gary Bracey. He was like a massive. You don't hear a lot about him, but he's like a massive video game veteran. He was one of the guys who, he was the first guy who licensed movies to video games. That was Gary. He was like a games god to me, and I had to meet this guy because I had this concept of this basic framework of what Terra Virtua could be, but this was a guy who innovated in the new space. And so what happened was back then, 2017, finally hunted him down, met him in a car park, Starbucks car park on the way back to Dubai. We sat down and we just clicked immediately, and within a week, Terra Virtua was formed. We spitballed the whole idea, what it's going to be. I'd already set up a VR gaming company to try to understand how VR was going to impact behaviors and gameplay, and nobody was giving any data. So I set up a VR company and spent 1 year releasing little games and understanding how people interact with VR. And I thought, well, digital assets, VR, metaverse, game, play to earn is the future. And I just dumped it all with Gary, and then he brought all this stuff back to me, and then off the back of that, that's really how we got started, and that's how we've got the AAA brands interested from day one. Imagine me trying to explain an NFT to a major gaming to a movie studio back in 2018. It's I spent all my time back then with Gary trying to persuade people, explain to people what an NFT is, and now all my time is spent explaining to brands what an NFT isn't, because now they've all got preconceptions on what they are. So yeah, it was a very interesting journey, and my background before this, I'm like a serial entrepreneur. I mean, back at 24 years old, I decided, nah, I'm not going to work full time anymore. And I started building my own companies. And I started doing kidnap and ransom and anti-terrorism systems, which was interesting. And then I moved on to create more technology companies, but always at the bleeding edge of tech. I was really interested in the what next. So I moved into web browsers and did like a CRM before Salesforce came out. I went into mobile before it was on mobile. And that's why with this VR and where we were going to go with this tech, it was at the point in my life where I could do something for the sheer fun of it. I'd done all these serious things. I'd done energy trading, option systems, KNR, anti-terrorism, CRM, corporate stuff, and now I wanted to do something which was my passion, and that's where Gary was. Gary was almost like the Godfather. He'd left it, and I wanted to relax, and then I pulled him back in, and he was brilliant. In the first 3 years of Terra, Virtua,
Yeah,
that's still it's
the
a habit that I'm
rebrand.
trying to break after 5 years. This is the interesting thing is that everything we're doing now, we've got in a document written back in 2017. And when we launched Virtua, because Gary's a BAFTA member, we launched at the BAFTA Film Institute in central London, and we got Ready Player One 2 weeks before the official release. And we had all the press there, and we said, this is a 2-hour trailer for what Virtua is going to become. And that was back then. So there's the intro.
That was amazing. That was the best intro I think I've ever heard. So the thing is the Ready Player One actually was my first question, because I did read that, and I think I read it when you guys rebranded from Terra to just Virtua. And what was interesting about that is I'm looking at a lot of these projects and metaverse projects that are Web3 metaverse projects. They haven't been around too long. They probably haven't had as much time as you guys have to formulate and think through what this could be, or what they could be, what their product can be. So I think that you guys are a really important player in the space from the standpoint of having more time to really play around with what this is and what this is going to be, because I'm not sure if that can be easily replicated. Just having more time, I think, is a massive advantage for Virtua.
It's not just time. I mean, we created a full VR metaverse lobby with with 4 games and VR experiences fully operational back in 2018. That's when we had our first cut of it. And that's where we realized all sorts of stuff. I mean, it's a bit like when we did Mint Day, the first day that we went to Mint. Okay. Now, when we went to Mint on the first day, we hadn't done this on Cardano before, but we built all of this stuff in house. We tested it, and we came across all of the stuff that you discover the first time you do something in Cardano. And that's why we moved over to Anvil. Now, those same mistakes are going to be made by metaverse players. We've learned all sorts of stuff like the robots. I mean, just little details like the robots that you see, the VFlex, okay? They hover. And we've created a mythology. There's going to be a whole backstory, games coming out, crazy AIs, all sorts of cool narrative mythology we've created, like a Bible for what the VFlex are. But they got no legs. Why don't they have any legs? It's because we found out back in 2018, if you try to walk around in VR, you will throw up. It happens. So you have to hop. So that's why the VFlex have got no legs. And that's why even when Meta came out with their avatars, they don't have legs. And that's why people are just saying, oh, let's create a metaverse. You got to think about this stuff because it will all end up in VR. That's where it's going to go. It doesn't matter if it's today or tomorrow. That's where it's going to be. And so you have to make a metaverse that's VR ready. You've got to think about that. And actually, we've had a VR metaverse. All the fan caves you can download and use right now. In their office, we're in VR, picking up Top Gun helmets and playing with them. But we've never launched it because Meta aren't exactly happy with a rival ecosystem coming out. So we got the side quest to do the installs, but we're very VR focused and we know it's where it's going to go, but the world's not ready for it yet. The world wasn't ready for metaverses either back in the day.
That just made me feel really good because I intuitively share that belief that it's all going towards VR. And there's a lot of naysayers out there. That it won't go towards VR or it can't, or like no one's going to use it. What kind of is at that core belief to some of those naysayers? Why do you think that it will go towards VR? And like, are we, Palmer Luckey obviously created the Oculus, and he was saying that 10 years from now we're gonna have a conference room that we can be in that feels like a conference room in VR. We won't probably have games and stuff yet, but that's like going to replicate the immersiveness of real freaking life.
Let me give you an anecdote. I remember back when I was demonstrating Virtua to people, we had the PC, we had the Oculus, we had all of the bits and pieces, and we were demonstrating VR. And I still remember being in a restaurant in Japan, had an investor there, had the Oculus set up on the table. I was standing in the middle of the restaurant with his really conservative crowd, and I was waving my arms around, and there were wires everywhere, and I was knocking drinks off the table while demonstrating it. But now you can buy that same piece of equipment just a few years later for like a few $100s with full finger recognition, with no wires, okay? And that's there now. That progress you've seen within 5 years has gone from tethered to a high-spec PC to having multiple tracking devices to this. And when it becomes a pair of glasses, and when Apple released theirs, that's when overnight you're going to see that shift. The second you have got that, you're going to see an overnight shift. And you know what? The other thing that needs to be considered is that for any new tech platform to really do well, it's not about the hardware, it's about the killer app. Okay, the only way the PlayStation actually went bang was when they launched, like the Tekken and Ridge Racer and everything with their stuff. And when the new devices come out, what sells them are the applications. And that's VR needs a killer app. I think Metaverse will be that killer app, but I also think you need to move people from this, from an iPhone where you've got people who are basically used to this ecosystem, you put them onto an AR VR mix, and all of a sudden you're going to get it. It's going to come. I'm convinced it's going to come. It has to, because I still remember when I bought my first, this was before the iPhone. You had the Palm Pilot, and it was a large thing that you put to your ear, and I had people laughing at me all the time. Why on earth are you putting a brick to your ear? We like a little thing with buttons, And if you look at it like 15 years ago, you said, oh, everything's going to be online. And everyone said, no, people want to come to the shops. They want to pick something up. They want to smell it. They want to taste it. They want to talk to me. and they would have never imagined that they'd be dinosaurs in 15 years time. So I just think it's inevitable. Like one of the things I've done all my career is track trends. This is coming. It's just, and also, just if you take from the pragmatic point of view, if someone's invested over $2 billion in the technology platform, he's going to make damn sure it works. You know, that's what it is. And but personally, I don't think Meta's the place, because what they've not understood, that it took us a while to understand, was that the 60% of degens who are online are never going to give you the data. They never want to give you their identity, but they operate much better in these spaces without having to have every aspect of their lives tracked. But that's what the meta universe is. So then what's left? It's left like a completely open market. And what's happening is that the metaverses we got are a bit too crypto focused. That's the thing about this whole market. I mean, every other technology platform you have, when it comes to the iPhone, to Android, to web, no one gives a damn about the tech. They just care that it works. They care about the utility. They care about how robust it is. So right now in the crypto, for some reason, we're into cult of tech, but it shouldn't be. People will be on the Cardano chain using Cardano technology, and it should be ubiquitous, and everyone should use it because it's the best tech. And they shouldn't even know it's Cardano. It's investors, the fans, and everyone else should. And that's what's happened. Crypto sort of moved into a place where it's all about, these are our spaces, and that mentality has gone into metaverse as well. It's like, here we're making a rectangle, have a spot in it, and if you're a brand, you're an IP, just take a square in it. But you know what? That's not where they want to be. They want to have their own curated spaces in the metaverse. I mean, what we're building, okay, so let's say Cardano Island is where we're starting, but imagine a world, and you've got crypto islands, then you're going to have the virtual islands, then you're going to have commerce islands with the likes of Visa, with a whole bunch of brands there, right, massive corporate brands. Then you're going to have health islands, and the health islands are all about fitness and wellness and mental health and training, and they're going to be run by other companies, not even us. Because we can't be all things to all people. We're focusing on the crypto islands and the entertainment experience that is Virtua and the brand islands. So what we're trying to do is build a massive ecosystem that embraces everyone. Because you're not going to have a heavyweight, like a massive project, come into one ecosystem and live only in that ecosystem when they've got to pay $6 million for an IP. You're not going to do it, right? So, and I've been in conversations where we bid $30 million for an IP, and somebody's come in for 60. And that's all going to change now, because now people's sanity is coming back. But what happens now is that if we build this, we can provide so much more to everyone by being the sum of the parts, right? And that's our vision of the metaverse. And I think that's why that's the way you've got to play in this world, and VR is going to be an integral part of it. But I'm sorry, I do ramble. But the main thing about it is that you need to embrace every digital touch point now, right? Because if you want to bring people into the metaverse, we started off with like an Unreal 3D environment, and there's friction, and it only works on a PC. So we've spent not all the time reinventing the metaverse, but making it work completely cross-platform. So it'll work in a web browser on a Mac, on a web browser in a PC, on a mobile phone, and there'll be a high fidelity version which is running on the desktop, and it's all different flavors of the same environment running at different fidelities. And the tricky part was making Unreal, Unity, WebGL all work with the same models, because you don't want to create the 3D models all over again. Our Mecha Godzilla's got over 1.5 million polygons in it. And when we first got the Move special effects footage, that thing had over 100 million polygons that we had to decimate down. So the trick is to make this tech work so the models can move across all of the devices without you having to rebuild them. Otherwise, it becomes a monumental piece of work. So there's a lot of tech hurdles to overcome. And I think the metaverse will start with easy consumption, mobile, web, move to more high fidelity or desktop, and then ultimately to VR. But the world's not ready for VR yet.
So there's a couple of things that I'd love to break down there. The first kind of concept, I guess, is Virtua. Do you view Virtua as, the metaverse police, like, oh, everything's going to be inside the broader metaverse. So we shouldn't call any project a metaverse, the metaverse place.
It's an island.
Do you think that Virtua is going to be a metaverse, or like just like the metaverse, or do you think it's going to be a place inside of the metaverse just to build a framework for people watching?
Okay, so look, the metaverse is going to be all of these metaverse experiences connected together. That's what it's going to be. Okay, and it's like right now, the best analog is you go to your favorite website, you're on there all the time, you go there for news, you go to an ecosystem which is Twitch or whatever else you have. That's where you live. And then you type www, it hits something, and then you go to a completely different web metaverse, right? That's what it is. You're going to a completely different thing. There's an indexing system that takes you through different servers on different countries, running on different technologies, run by different people. It's an analog to what the metaverse is going to be. You don't want to go on holiday to one place forever. This the experience that we're going to have is going to grow and grow and grow. But like one thing, a company I've mentioned is called Metaverse by Joel Dietz, who's one of the founders of MetaMask, and he's building this really cool concept of like an indexing system to jump between metaverses with these really cool ships, like these meta ships that you can get this meta ship and use it, and other companies are coming, and we're going to be one of the first as part of his mix. So you'll be able to jump from our metaverse to another seamlessly. And because I think that's what the metaverse is going to be. We're going to have islands. We're going to have multiple islands, multiple zones. We're going to have multiple worlds. I mean, Nitro League is a racing company, racing game, multiple islands, really cool play to own, play to earn mechanics. And our Williams cars will go into their world, and you can race them. You can drive them around ours, but you can competitively race them. Then when you win the race, you can win a production slot. And then if you buy a factory on their world, you can manufacture new NFT cars, bond them with your NFTs, and then sell them in a marketplace. So that's the sort of mechanics they're doing. But their planet Nitro Prime is another planet in our metaverse.
Right.
And we're actually working with them collaboratively. Okay, we're going to make the inside spaces, all the really cool stuff. If we're going to do this and give you this tech, you better build the outside stuff for us. And so we're working collaboratively with other companies and dev teams to get to that metaverse faster, but a high fidelity metaverse. Rome wasn't built in a day, but it's better to work cooperatively, share the tech, and build out something faster.
I agree. So that's interesting. So an ecosystem, so Virtua will be this ecosystem in the metaverse, and there's things like indexes of metaverses, search engines for metaverses, really interesting stuff. One other thing that I wanted to break apart was this kind of interoperability of 3D assets into these different environments you talked about. Really when I talk to the 3D modelers on Cardano, this is a huge thing that they're all discussing, is like, how will this happen? Now with the Mecha Godzilla, you mentioned that it has a very high poly count. And what's interesting is there's all these different game engines, like Unreal versus Unity versus voxel based metaverses. So can we kind of put another layer of paint down on how you see these kinds of 3D I guess NFTs or objects going from place to place?
Absolutely. This is a massive challenge. All right. So the first thing is that when you look at an asset, a 3D asset, it actually consists of like the meshes, the rigs, the graphics, the overlays, the skeletal models, and then you got the animation logic. Okay. Now, all of that stuff right now cannot be encapsulated anywhere independently. It just doesn't. So when we always talk about Web3 and Web2 and we are Web3, let's wave a flag, sometimes there's no solution for Web3 as yet. And actually most devices, most platforms that you're doing always hybridize Web2 technologies with Web3, looking at when Lego blocks can be changed to swap them out. Now, this whole 3D thing is a massive, massive issue, because like if you look at like our we have a Lost in Space model. You can go to Virtua and look at it. It's of one of the robots. It's got like multiple arms, and we had to create a custom rig for it because the standard rigs wouldn't even support the amount of arms and movements and articulations that you could have. And so when you get into that level of complexity, you do get a lot of issues. So I think what's going to happen is that there isn't a great tech as yet, but someone is building it. There are about 4 people. I'm talking.
I agree.
You know,
Yep.
someone's building it. Someone's going to have to build a portable 3D machine which can run as a decentralized system with which actually can pull the meshes from IPFS and put them together. Because right now, yes, you can have IPFS and you can have files there and you can store them, but what's the logic? There's no logic engine behind it to actually do anything more than give you a stack of all of these things. You have to have a native system of some sort running, mostly Web 2 at the moment, if you want super high fidelity. There are a few running around, like there's using GLTF, right? And I know a few guys, one of our advisors is a super cool guy, and he's creating a way to remix these 3D models. And it's really great, the tech that he's got, but it's still GLTF, which doesn't give us the level of fidelity that we want. It's sort of okay, but we can do more with FBX models. So right now we're working on like a way to take these models and automatically convert them to GLTF for portability. And there are a few projects out there that will support that as a sort of virtual machine, but we want that for super high definition stuff, and that doesn't exist as yet. But where we are, we're talking to projects, where anyone who's trying to build this or build their own metaverse visual layer. You got a guy called JS who's building some stuff out in Silicon Valley. You got some other projects that are based out of Dubai that are trying to make their own 3D engines, but decentralized ones as well. But if you think how much Unity and Unreal have invested into these things and how many years,
That's the thing, though. Yeah,
there's not going to be a short-term solution to this.
Right. So there's a problem waiting to be solved there. But what I guess is really interesting talking to you, Jawad, is how advanced your thinking is, and obviously Virtua's thinking is around some of the 3D and virtual reality aspects of what this space is turning into. I don't necessarily know if there's many companies that are as advanced as you guys and have the experience you guys have. So definitely leading the space in a lot of ways, it feels like.
It sort of plays to our wheelhouse. I mean, like, this is the thing, that when we set this thing up, we had a very clear vision of where we wanted to get. And so we went through this really painful period last year where everyone was like posting a JPEG of whatever and selling it for whatever they could. Huge prices.
Crazy.
And and the market went crazy. And we were like, as a team, should we try to capitalize on it now? And we decided, no, we want to double down on the 3D models. We want to create these. Look, if somebody can spend like an hour or two making a few images and getting them out in the peak of the hype, we were spending over a month and a half with like 25 people making a really great 3D asset, because we knew that when the metaverse came, you needed to populate it with some really cool stuff.
That can do stuff too, not just a 3D asset that does nothing, but something that has functionality.
You're gonna have Jaegers walking around, proper animated Jaegers from Pacific Rim walking around, and you're gonna have like fully rigged Mecha Godzillas sitting on people's drives, that sort of stuff. That's a sort of thing that it's the catch-up aspect. It's not just time. We spend that time building these assets when we could have been out there just going for a short-term cash grab, but we were really interested in building a long-term sustainable monster of a company. And unfortunately, it means that you can't just pivot on an opportunity at that point. There's a level of bloody mindedness to the vision as well within our team. Like we were always like, if it's going to be an NFT and it's just an image, you can't just persuade somebody that this is the same thing. But if you can say an NFT is different from a regular toy, this is animated, this is rigged, this has got sound, this moves along. They talked about us in Variety at the same time when they released the movie. We had the Bible of the movie 7 months before the movie was out. And a legendary and fantastic.
I just love the fact that Ready Player One was kind of like a key part of your journey. I feel like that's the movie that put the metaverse on the map.
Look, if you can get to Ready Player One, and I think that's where the world needs to go, then that's it. The only thing we need to do is avoid living in shantytown slums at the same time. Right. The rest of it was very cool. But yeah, no, it's 100%. I think that's where we need to go. And the metaverse existed in so many ways. I mean, Second Life was probably the first one. And then Call of Duty, you can argue, was a metaverse, and then Fortnite's a metaverse. This is all, crypto actually You know, Ethereum, even the journey of where Ethereum came from was from the guys who, some of the luminaries at the beginning were the guys who were selling assets from
World of Warcraft.
Warcraft
Yeah.
as grey items, and realized they couldn't have the assets. All of this stuff triggered the whole crypto movement, and the metaverse is only part of it.
I totally agree. I think one thing that's interesting about Virtua is how advanced you guys are with intellectual property and some of the collaborations that you have kind of created. It's something that when we think of where this is going and people being in these environments, it's to me the biggest deal. Having IP that's relatable and also can play into the imagination of people and give sort of like an activity to do or something to feel. It's a pretty big deal.
Exactly. Like, imagine Kevin Hart's doing his new tour, and like an exclusive episode of what he's doing is only going to be viewable in our metaverse. You can walk into the room, sit on the sofa, big screen, sit down there, have a video player and watch it. And the only place you can watch it is Virtua. And that's part of his joint up connected effort towards getting this thing done. You know, not just doing a drop, but creating a whole metaverse thing. You know, we've just signed up one of the biggest actors in Bollywood, 150 million followers. It's taken forever because we're really going big into India, and we're going to be on set when he does his next movie. And he's going to be doing script notes and stuff like that. And we're going to be making the NFTs at the same time as when they film the film. You know, that's, you got to do the what next of everything. And that's the exciting thing that we can bring to the space. But I think it's not just about who's here now. It's about what you can make as a metaverse native IP. Look at all the top 20. It's not just about, actually, the main IPs don't actually engage that well right now with the audiences. That's why we're going to do really cool things with Williams, like remixes of the F1 cars, generative stuff with attributes to make them playable. But there is much mileage and as many interesting things you can do collaborating with the degen projects to make more interesting cross collaborations. But also we've got death teddies coming, you know, the insane dueling teddy bears which are just crazy on an island with an insane AI called V who wants them to battle to the death. We got the metaverse bounty hunters. You know, there's all sorts of IPs we're creating and we're collaborating with, which will be brand new metaverse focused IPs.
Can I highlight too real quick is the fact that with IP, the lore is really what I think people can get invested in behind the IP. So even just you mentioning that there's some, you know, I don't even know what you said, to be honest with you, Jawad, but you said something pretty funny and something pretty cool. It sounded like there might be a villain. These teddy bears have to fight. And I just think that the whole lore that you guys have going on is what I love is people that are doing that is creating their own IP in their projects. And I think what is kind of cool about Clay Nation with Snoop Dogg's thing, it's really smart because if Snoop Dogg gives his IP to music for us to use in remixes, we're kind of expanding his brand too in a way when we advertise it, even if we're using it for our own products to sell.
Yeah, 100%. And you know what? Artists generally are creative across many mediums, right? And they sort of put into a narrow channel, okay, when they are popular in this particular way. And a lot of the artists you're going to see are now doing other things and have done other things, and they can bring them into within it. The digital assets opens up all sorts of stuff. An artist can also be a painter. He can almost a filmmaker. There's all sorts of stuff they do creatively that they can't because they've got a recording contract with this studio, and this is the only way they're going to reach it. And now this is opening up all those channels. So we're seeing that. Honestly, we're talking to a lot. I mean, I don't know if you know, but we were even on Stephen Colbert. You know, he did like this whole thing about AFT, which is, you can believe it out, it's an actual fucking thing. So he showed it on a paper bag. He said, this is an AFT. And then we made an NFT of him holding that bag and said, no, this is an NFT. And then he spoke about it on the Colbert Show. And then we auctioned his likeness with those NFTs for charity. So there's all sorts of things you can do, which with and like I do, we love the Clay Nation squad. We love what they've done, you know, and across the board, you know, there are other projects that we were engaged with, and we're growing more and more links, and because we think we can bring all of them in, even JPEG stories. Like for example, we have our own marketplace, but even JPEG Store is going to have their own marketplace on Cardano Island with a metaverse marketplace, because why not? Just go where the audiences are, go where people live. Don't try to compete with them just because there's enough here for everybody. It's just and you do see that with sometimes you've got smaller projects and they're more immature and they even feel threatened at times, but it's a whole universe that we're building here. There's space for everyone.
And a rising tide obviously lifts all ships.
Absolutely. Honestly, we had the Dubai Expo yeah, because I live out in Dubai, and there was another company and they were making incredible artwork, and we had art on our platform, and they were like, okay, can we collaborate? And we collaborated with them, and we were in the Australian Expo with them, working with them, not making anything, just because you want to help. Why not? You know, and that's always the way. We should help each other, because the more successful all of us are, the more chance our ecosystem has of really growing. It's not the Web2 ecosystem, which is dog eat dog. This is all driven by communities and people. And you don't have a know your customer workshop. Your customers are shouting at you all day long. They know you know who you are, and you know what they want. And cooperation is key for all of this.
And there's undertones of open source, especially in the Web3 communities too, which is really interesting. One thing I wanted to get to though, Jawad, was this kind of more recent, I guess, compared to how long you guys have been around, decision to integrate with Cardano. And what's interesting is you have some people that own land now for Cardano Island who are thinking about how they can create a business or use that virtual property that's obviously hosted by you guys, and you guys get royalties from when people sell. It's the model of Web3, land, and the tools that you guys provide. So I was just curious, speaking to that community of people who maybe have some capital even to invest into their land on top of buying the land and build a business. And there's projects that will be doing this, like you mentioned, JPEG Store. But then there's also just maybe previously passive investors who have a business background that have a piece of land now, maybe capital investment. What kinds of things can we talk to that group of people for Cardano Island to maybe think about inventing? What kind of concepts have you seen? Because that's what I enjoy talking about the most too, by the way.
So where we're starting with is games. That's where we're starting with, because essentially you've got the concept that right now you've got play to earn, which is sort of waning a bit. Now you've got play to own and a few other things going on. But what I see,
play to everything, man. Like there's a term every week. See, it's crazy.
100%. Right? And then learn to earn, all of this stuff, educate. But basically, where we're starting with is after this is all done. First of all, we're creating our games, which are going to be plugged into the space where people can compete, and then we're actually going to create a benchmark version of those games where you can take those games and remix them yourself. So imagine you've got the VFLEC game. You can then take the VFLEC game and you'll be able to change the track and modify aspects of the world and put your own NFTs into it.
Customize
it. Create your own prizes, your own tournament structure, and then mint that instance of a game as your own NFT. So now this remixed version of the game is your own instance that you can now monetize and run tournaments of yourself. That's our starting point. And what we want to do with that is do the first few and then open it up with APIs and say to everyone, build your own. Right? Build your own remix game that will allow you to make money on the tournaments and the games and everything else, but it's going to allow anyone to remix the game and allow them to make revenues from creating that. Now, then you create a massive games ecosystem. Okay, think of the
wait. Okay. Before we get the full master plan, can I just break that down again? Because I think this will take a second, because it took me a second. Sure. Is this the first concept of remix games? Have you heard of this before?
I don't think anyone else has done it. This is something we're working on. We think games remixing is logical, and no, we haven't seen it anywhere, so we're doing it first.
That's so. I would just like to let that breathe for a second, because I think people will hear that and be like, "What is he talking?" Like, that's amazing. Like it's done with music. And it's done with music because you have a major artist and maybe you have a smaller artist that will remix a song and put their own brand behind it. And that's what you're talking about, is a game that's originally, maybe created, but then you can remix it, customize it, build in things that are custom to you. This
And
is
your community and your brand. I mean, where it came from was like, if you look at on cyber, you look at all of these things, people want to customize their spaces. You'll be able to customize your crib on Cardano Island. Just you'll have your own space. You can customize the walls, the floors, your own furniture, put your own assets in, to put your NFTs in there, make them bigger, make them smaller. That's all coming with the event, with the crib event. You'll have that. At the point you get your property, that is live, done, right? And so that's done. So we're now working on, well, if people love it that much and it's a static space and you can't do much with it, what if you could take all of that creativity and pour it into customizing a game, but then you can
you're
make a
creating
tournament?
you're
Yeah,
creating games too constantly as soon as you open that up to people with
yeah.
being
And
able
then
to build their own. That's
and then we
insane.
make and then we make APIs, and then we give the framework, because the philosophy we have towards anything is it's a very it's a classic thing actually. Macs were amazing. Everyone had a Mac. PCs were pieces of crap that were pieces of plastic. Then Microsoft got fed up and said, "We're going to show you how it's done." They created the Surface Book, and then all of a sudden, people realized, "Holy crap! A PC can be amazing." So you can only really show someone how to do it by doing it yourself. So that's why our first games are going to show how it's done.
Yeah.
We're going to create our own ones. Then we'll make the API. Then we'll say to developers everywhere, create your metaverse games. Make the metaverse games portable. You can take. So if we give you if we give you the jetpack racing game, remix that game, make it what you want. Create your own leaderboard. Create your own tracks.
Mhm.
Bring people in there. Tether it to your land. Bring people in. Have them play. Create a tournament based around your community, based around the assets that you've got, your project, your CCL project, whatever you have. It's your themes. Now, all of a sudden, it's instant utility for NFTs everywhere,
This is
right?
gonna shake everything up, man. Like this is a huge thing because
Phase
you're
one.
gonna have projects that it's they already have their token allocation. Like I'm just thinking about like Dead Pixels because I know that they have Ding, but like what if like they decide to build their own custom games from the games that you develop and release the APIs, and then they reward people with Ding, and like people are gonna change up their strategies potentially for how
Yeah.
big this starts to get. This is a big game changer. No
Yeah,
pun
and
intended.
just imagine they can create it so that if the game will earn you this, and this could be an emission of something, even a token, or it could be an NFT, but it could then lead on to earning something else, or leading on to the next game and the next game. So that's the first economy we're going to be building. We are actively building. We've already the V, and the beautiful thing is this VFLET game. I'll send you some footage of the game. So the VFLET game and the VFLET game, you can actually go ahead and play it now. And the guys finished it all, and I looked at them and said, "Okay, now how can we remix this?" And they looked at me like, "What? what do you want now?" And it's like, "Okay, how can we remix this?" And now they're going to make track
Such a
builders,
cool
and they're working on the
concept.
track. They're working on the track builders, but it just makes sense. And we're trying to find ways to generate economies which are new. We don't want to say, okay, here's a metaverse. We'll give you an API and be Shopify. What's the point? People are still going to go to Shopify websites and buy more. It's not going to help you create something new in the metaverse. You're just going to end up spending money, time, investing in it, and find it's just a waste of time and money, and you haven't made any ROI from it. So we have to come up with stuff which is cool and new and actually will make money in the new economy. And that's why even with the Nitro game I mentioned, they've got some incredible games designers. And, we've been workshopping. We've had their team over to us and sitting in Dubai and sitting in Lahore and working out how we can do cool stuff together. And we sort of riff off each other on what we can do. And like, one of the things that we do have, we have over 300 people in-house. I have over 300 graphic designers.
Oh, it's 300.
Game
I read somewhere as 200, but
No,
300.
no.
That's
If I
insane.
add everyone together, including the guy who makes the tea, it's about 300 people-ish. It's about 280 people in total. And that's like games designers, developers, blockchain guys. But our 3D modelers and assets team, we've got 55 people who are just on 3D.
Unreal.
Because you can't build. And that's why when someone says, "Oh, I'm going to drop a generative NFT project with a 10,000 NFTs. Oh, and I'm going to have a metaverse by next Tuesday," I go, "No, you're not. It's just not going to happen. It's hard. We know how hard it is, and that's because we're from a games background."
What okay, so let me ask you this then, Jawad, because revenue sources did Virtua have pre Cardano Island that allowed them to grow? Was it investments? Was there other? I know that there was the TVK marketplace, but was there, like, I'm just trying to understand how this company became so big.
Sure. Well, the first thing is that I funded it up until we launched, and up until the point we listed the token on Binance. So I funded it all the way myself up until the point we launched our marketplace, and 6 months later we launched our token. And then within 2 months of launching our token, we were on Binance. So that tells you something, right? That it's incredibly hard to get on that platform, and the amount of due diligence we had to do was insane. But within 2 months of listing, we were on Binance, and our token went from half a cent all the way to $1.20.
Right.
So we have a treasury. So we were able to. We have marketing, vesting, etc. So we were able to vest enough tokens to create a nice, hefty treasury. Okay, so I invested maybe myself. I invested $3 million into it up and to get it running, and then we've only got one other private investor in the company. We have not taken investment from anywhere else, and the rest of it has been from our token allocation budget release.
Yeah.
And if you're sitting at $1.20, you could just imagine if we just exited as a portion of our treasury, that's more than enough. Okay, and then on top of that, we have been making NFT sales. We've sold stuff for over $100,000 for a single piece, but that's not been our primary driver. We haven't even been interested in making money from our marketplace. We've only been interested in building the metaverse, because that's the future. That's the billion-dollar play. That's the huge life-changing thing that was going to create a safe space for people who come into this space. And a lot of us, there's a lot of even though we're older, a lot of what we're doing is to make a safe space. That is the metaverse, a self-policed place which is not commercially driven by corporate interests, which is the legacy we can provide. Because we've done this stuff. We've sort of, even before we did Virtua, we all the partners, we'd done it. We were ready. We'd exited. My last exit was from a company in the entertainer, where we took a book from a book to a mobile app, and then we exited. And the only private investor in Virtua is Donna Benton, who's, like Forbes has said, is the most successful woman in the Middle East. And she was so into this concept, and she's the only private investor we have in our company. And all of our focus has been, how can we make this a super cool space? I mean, we're even going to be doing this. We're talking about it today, and it's going to be announced later this year, but it's called the Meta Education Foundation. And so we're creating a complete foundation island, with the whole idea is to teach kids in classrooms with teachers all around the world in the metaverse who can't afford education. That's a complete foundation pro bono charity that we're setting up, which is going to be announced months down the line. But we're building it now because there has to be more to it than just product. But this is a cool sandbox that we're having a lot of fun with.
Yeah, that's a huge use case for the metaverse too, I believe. One thing I wanted to go back to, though, so because we diverged, Jawad, and I'm not sure, I don't want to take too much of your time today, but I did want to ask maybe couple more questions here. Sure. One that I just wanted to get back to that we jumped from for a second was, so remixing these games, and for people hearing that for the first time, we talked about it, so that's good. But like, can we practicalize what it will look like for somebody that just bought a medium or small Cardano Island plot to monetize their plot somehow with some business besides like the gamification of like the bots and stuff? Like, how can they build something maybe on top of that and leverage your platform and tools?
It's all going to be a case of us releasing different APIs in sequence that will allow you to do different things. Now, what people gravitate to on these metaverse lands is, okay, I want to run like a e-commerce sort of thing. That will happen. I want a store, and I want to be able to go and do this. Do this sort of stuff. Now, I don't think that right now it's a good phase one thing to offer, because there's not enough eyes, there's not enough consumers in the metaverse for people to spend that time and effort to do that. And for us to say, okay, you can create your own store in the metaverse, we know we're giving people a bum stare. So that's why it's not going to be the first thing that we do, but that will be one way you can monetize. And that is what people will initially say straight away. Yeah, that's going to be a cool thing to do. I think it's going to be about games and providing games assets. And also, one of the things we're going to do, for example, is that we're going to provide, when we launch our island elsewhere in the metaverse, one of the things Cardano Island will get is all the features we're adding onto other islands that are specific to those islands will come to Pioneer Cardano Island as well. They're unique in that way because they're the pioneers. They're going to get everything. So, for example, one of the things we're building is like Art Island, and every artist who participates in that gets their own gallery where they can run their own exhibitions, where people can come in and browse and buy any assets there and then, but go through a virtual gallery. And as soon as that's released, that will be a plug into API. So you've got the land, have a gallery, bring artists, create ticketed events. The other things we're working right now with other brands is like creating like a stadium experience where you can plug in artists and do things like that as well. And that will be available. So all of those things are going to come. Games first, right? But then we're going to layer in more and more APIs. But what we don't want to do is offer something we know isn't going to work, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Because
Yeah. If you, you guys have been steering this ship. You've navigated plenty of waters in the last 5-6 years, and I would actually say that there's something to kind of trusting a little bit the people building these platforms to kind of have some be able to foresee what will be most valuable. So I like that, man. I think as a content creator, I think there's opportunities maybe for when you can develop a community and that attention to monetize just off of, just what I've done too is eyeballs. So advertising space. So that's what I think of first. It comes most intuitively to me, but I guess games can kind of really be that source too in a way if you can. Yeah.
The key is audience. Okay, you need, and like right now, if you look at the metaverses that are out there, look how many active users they've got. Okay, so the key thing is, and this is why having Cardano Island part of a massive first world, is that we bring in the audience, because even creating content, your users are used to coming to a website, clicking on that, they have an easy channel of entrance, and that's why they come in that way. And if you try to get those same fans to come over to a metaverse space, they're going to need they're going to need something different other than, well, I can go and do that in YouTube and I can do it in 2 clicks. What's my value add? Well, if Kevin now Hart,
right? It's like, there's experiences too, but I'm just thinking like there's going to be news that's happening in Virtua. I perceive like when I look at Twitter top articles, I look, okay, what's the biggest news today? There's gonna be news happening in Virtua. Like there's gonna be things happen. So if I'm not in there and if I'm not watching,
yeah, you're 100% right. But also the thing is that as well as you being in there, other people need to be in there. So how do you bring the other people into that? Right now, only landowners are incentivized to be in there, and somebody who coming into casually browse. So gaming is bigger than movies. Gaming is bigger than music. For us, that's one of the ways that we think we can bring in a lot of users. But we'd be looking at media content. The Kevin Hart thing is a great example, because that is unique content in the metaverse. You can only consume in the metaverse with a mainstream brand. So we'll see how that works. And you know what? Ultimately, we don't have all the answers. And what's nice about this whole thing is that we'll be working with creators, and we are working with creators, and we are always happy to try something, because if you look at how Fortnite came out, do you know Fortnite was a just try something thing? I did a few people together, they wanted to create it, and they said, let's try it.
That's crazy. So Fortnite wasn't this, big strategy.
No, it wasn't planned. It was, let's just try it. And a bunch of people were given it as a pet project to do, and it mushroomed and exploded. And that's how the best things in life happen. Seriously.
Wow, that's thrilling. All right, so Jawad, I don't want to take too much of your time, man. I'd love to have you back another time.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that is worth maybe mentioning? Is there any upcoming alpha? I'll be sure to cover most of, like, I guess some of the announcements that you guys have recently released and stuff on my main channel. But I was curious if there's anything else that would be worth mentioning, man. It's been a pleasure, by the way. Like, this is such a cool experience for me to talk to somebody that's been at this for as long as you have, and it's really cool, man.
No, I really, really appreciate it. It's been good to be here. Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, we've got a plan for this. It's like we've got this happening, and like even with the land drops that we've done, we've given some really cool stuff that is only going to be open for a narrow window. And those assets took a lot to make, but once they're gone, they're gone. We're doing this, and we're going to do some certain stuff. So we're rewarding the Cardano people with some really cool things. But then, as well as that, what we're going to do is that when you have your first space and you've done the claim event and then there's a crib event, then it'll be a usable metaverse from day one. And then it's going to be a case of layering on more and more functionality. The resources are going to be a very interesting thing, because what we see is that the customization of the land and the assets will end up with their own marketplace. So we're going to allow people to create their own tower designs, their own crib designs, their own furniture, their own assets, and allow them to be tradable within an ecosystem as NFTs. But the resources that you're going to have can be used to craft, but also you'll be able to take them, and ultimately and all right, this is the plan. If the plan changes, someone don't come at me, everyone. But like, what we're planning to do is, if you have enough resources, you'll have let's say you got 20, you'll be able to mint them as NFTs and sell them actively on a marketplace. So if someone actually then wants to buy those resources to craft a mega project, you could end up having half of the island selling their resources to somebody who's going to make something massive, which might be a one-off mega project, right? So the resources themselves are not just for crafting, but they'll be sellable, and your land will always emit resources, even the common ones will. So, the whole point here is that your land is generating resources that will be usable to create assets that are sellable, but also the resources themselves will be sellable. So when people talk about, what are they going to make on the island? Well, actually, you have a resource generating asset, and those resources will be used to create all sorts of crazy stuff. It's a bit like Star-Lord, in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Yeah, he said, I'm going to make all sorts of crazy shit. You'll be able to do that with your resources.
It's a bit like, instead of having to hire my own 3D modelers and people to build me stuff, the resources and the land give me that access to leveraging Virtua to have things built for me with those resources.
Yeah, definitely. But we want to bring in 3D modelers from everywhere. We want to bring in people to make all of this sort of stuff and let them monetize, have those resources and create. Because if all we're interested in doing is creating the first reference experiences and showing people how to do it, and then making the community build the content, build the games, build the assets, build the towers, build the experiences. That's how it's going to grow. Yeah. What going to 300 people is a lot of people, but it's really not. When it comes, if you want to create a global company, it's all driven by the community right now.
And there's a lot of talent, man, in Cardano.
There's a lot of talent in Cardano. There's a lot. The Anvil guys, man, they're rocks. They're fantastic. And those guys we only met on the second day of our mint. We were introduced by the RHK guys.
There's a lot more too. Like I talk to these 3D modelers, and some of them have been 3D modeling for 16, 20 years. So it's insane. There's a lot of talent to the people in Cardano.
Huge
leveraging that, giving them a career path too. Like, that's what metaverses are to a lot of these characters.
Give them a way to monetize. Because right now these guys are really marginalized. They'll sit on an art station, or they'll sit on one of the things that's happened a lot with creatives across the board, they become commodities, from filmmakers to musicians to artists. They just look at Spotify, look at Netflix. You're sucking everything with a straw. You're not owning anything. And even publishing. One of the things that we don't talk about much, we have a comic reader called Vplay that we've created, which allows you to read a comic on any device, and you can slice away the layers. So you can go from the first page, slice off the bubbles, slice off the inks, and go to the original pencils. And it's there. And we've got Dynamite Comics, and you can buy these comics right now on Virtua, including Bloodlines. And we're going to be doing a lot of digital publishing sort of projects as well in the metaverse. And we're bringing creators to do that. It's just another like amazing community of people who are, again, working for next to nothing. You want people to earn from what you have, instead of just becoming a commodity in a box.
I agree, Jawad. Okay, I'm not gonna take any more of your time. I'm gonna pause this, but don't go just yet, because I'll talk to you after I pause it for a second. But for the audience, I just want to say, first of all, thank you to Jawad for coming on, and to the audience, thank you guys and girls for tuning in and watching this whole thing. Any final things, Jawad, before you we pause the recording?
No, I think we've covered an awful lot of ground, and I'm sure when you talk to some of the other team, they're going to tell you a lot more. Just all I'd say is thank the Cardano community for the trust. I mean, we've come from nowhere to one of the most talked about projects in Cardano in a matter of weeks, which
Oh yeah,
is
that happened quick.
which happened fast. And like, thank you to everyone involved. But we won't let you down. That's what I'm going to say. That's where I'm going to end it.
Respect. All right, guys. So that's Jay Crypto. That's Jawad. And that's Virtua. We'll see you next time. Take care, guys. Okay, so here are the giveaway details. Number one, this is the plot that we're giving away. Now, it's going to be a rectangular medium plot. So essentially, all the rectangular medium plots are the same. So we're going to be giving away one common rectangular medium plot. Now, just so you know, that's basically let's see here. So the rectangular medium plots are like a 2x3, whereas the square medium plots are like a 2x2. Okay. This is, so I'm going to show you the floor price first, because I just want people to know why I'm making this giveaway the way I'm making it. And it's because it's worth a lot of money. So thanks to Virtua for sending me this. Now, they didn't say I had to give it away in any certain type of way or fashion, but the floor price for a medium common plot is 1,850 ADA, and ADA's at, I don't know, 50 cents. So it's a good amount of money. It's like $900. So, because they're a little bit bigger again, right? The medium plots, I believe, are 2x3s, whereas the rectangular ones. Okay, so let's go into the details. Now, I haven't posted this yet because I need to get the links, but let me explain. So huge giveaway, retweet and comment. So you have to retweet. If you don't retweet, then you're immediately eliminated. And then you have to comment a link to a TikTok. Okay. Now, that's the simple instructions. You make a TikTok of my interview with Jawad. Okay. The link will be in the description of this video, because I'm going to post this video the same time that I post the interview. And it will be, if you're watching on YouTube, I should say, and it will be in this tweet thread. Okay. Now, it has to be with, the interview of me and Jawad. So don't go posting TikTok links to other things. It has to be a TikTok of the interview with me and Jawad. It can be 30 seconds or longer. It can be 3 minutes, but it has to be over 30 seconds. That's the simple instructions. So all you have to do is record. I'm going to show you, a couple things. I posted one just for an example, and I'm also going to put that in this tweet thread. Or I'm going to comment it. So give people instructions on what to do. Now, it's not complicated. You make a TikTok, you record some section of the interview of me and Jawad, right? And then you post the TikTok, and then you take the link after it's done being reviewed, the TikTok is, and you comment the link under this tweet thread. Okay. I will look at all of them. I will look at them all and pick a winner on the 28th. Okay. It won't be by random, because I'm going to look at them all. I'm going to see how they're performing. I'm going to see how creative they are. I will post one as an example. More details are below. Let's make more Cardano TikTok content together. So it's a medium plot, rectangle though. And that's just the floor price. So I don't know what I'm not saying that it's going to go, I don't know what it'll go for, but that's what you're getting if you participate in this giveaway, or you can keep it, right? How I will pick a winner, it will be completely subjective and somewhat random because of these three factors. So views and likes, of course, higher the better. So post sooner than later. So I said that because if you post today, right, because you have about a week because I'm going to be picking the winner on the 28th. So it's Thursday the 21st today when I'm posting this video. So you have a week. Sooner you post, the more views it will get, the more engagement it'll get. But that's not the only factor. Okay, that's not going to be the only factor. I may very well pick a TikTok that has less views than the one that does the best because of other reasons, right? But views and likes, of course, help. So I would suggest, making many TikToks, right? Trying to get as many out there as possible of the interview. And I'll explain why I'm doing this later on. I would like to see these 3 hashtags on the TikTok. So just put hashtag Cardano, hashtag JCrypto, and hashtag Virtua. You can also tag my TikTok account, okay, which is at JCrypto_YT. You don't have to, okay? You don't have to do any of these things, but this is like bonus points, right? I'm going to be looking for these things and, it'll definitely get your chances up. 30 seconds to 3 minutes long, but up to you. Okay, so 30 seconds to 3 minutes long, but totally up to you, as long as it's longer than 30 seconds. Okay. Why not just do normal retweet and follow giveaway? I've done those before, and what seems to always happen to me is it feels like a bot won, because I'll message them that they won, and there's no response for a wicked long time. And I've done giveaways for whitelists before, and then nobody responds, and then the whitelist is over. So I'm kind of fed up with just the normal Twitter giveaways. Plus, I have audiences on different platforms, and I honestly want to give back to the people that are creative, because I know that there's a lot of creatives that follow me that are planning to do stuff in the metaverse, and I want them to be the ones to win this thing. So I want them to, plus I want to encourage people to start getting on TikTok, because TikTok's organic reach is going to run out. So I think it's important that people at least are aware of how TikTok works and make an account. And if this inspires them to do it, great. They don't win, but maybe they know how to make a TikTok account and they can actually build TikToks. I think that's phenomenal. In fact, I kind of want that to happen. However, it means that less people will enter. So if you're one of those people that enters, you probably will have a better chance at winning, because I'm aware, not everyone's going to want to do this. Not everyone is going to want to spend the time on this. There's going to be comments probably saying, why would you even do this on TikTok? This is stupid, yada, yada. If I was watching this video and watching this giveaway, I would be like, woohoo, that means that my chances are better, because if I make a bunch of TikToks, post them on this tweet thread, comment them, on this first tweet here, then that my competition is lessened by all these people that are complaining about this. So, and again, I want to give back to the creatives, or people that want to try to be creative too. You don't have to have 1 million followers or even 100 followers on TikTok for a TikTok to explode and go viral. You can just simply do a screen recording on your phone, or you can even just film on your phone while watching it on the computer and just post it on your phone. Okay, I'm going to go over that stuff later. Plus, it's boring. The normal retweet and stuff is boring to me. I think we need to start doing creative stuff like this. So that's what I said. I want somebody that puts the work in to win this plot that's essentially right now worth, the floor price at least, somewhere around, like, it's over $500 probably it would sell for. So I don't know what it would sell for, but it's kind of like a lot of money. So I want somebody that puts the work in to win. What if no one enters? Then you should enter and comment your TikTok from the interview as mentioned, so you can win this medium Virtua official Cardano Island plot. No one enters, I will just run the giveaway again. I'm not going to keep the plot because nobody enters, and I'm not going to do a Twitter giveaway. I want people to post TikToks. I want people to post TikToks of this interview I did with Jawad. It's going to be great for my brand. It's going to be great for Virtua, and it's going to be great for Cardano content, because we need more of it on TikTok. We need people to see that there's companies like Virtua and there's metaverses and there's people excited about Cardano. If no one enters, I will run the giveaway again until somebody does. Interview link, I'm going to put it right here. And if you're on YouTube, it will be in the description. It will be in the description of my YouTube video. Just, maybe not right the second I post the YouTube video, but it will be there within 10 minutes. Okay. It'll also be right here on this tweet. Okay. Question, how do I make a TikTok? So essentially, I am going to be talking about that here in this video. So what I'm going to do on the tweet thread is I'm going to put the link to this YouTube video that you're currently watching. Or if you're watching this on Twitter somewhere and I'm just doing the giveaway details, then just know that this tweet thread, right? And maybe I'll have this, I'll pin this giveaway up for the next week, right? Until I pick a winner. So just go to my Twitter, okay? And it's just at jcrypto_YT on Twitter as well. And look at the pinned tweet and find the YouTube video to see how to post TikToks. But I'm going to be going over it for people on YouTube. What if I don't have a TikTok? Well, if you don't have one or you can't make one because you're in some, I don't know, like weird place in the world and you just can't make a TikTok or it's illegal or something, unfortunately, this giveaway is just not for you. Okay. People that only are on TikTok and not on Twitter, if I just do a Twitter giveaway, then they would miss out. But I think this is the best way to do it for what I'm trying to do here. So if you don't have a TikTok, you won't be eligible unless you make one. And I'm going to show you how to make one. Sorry, unfortunately, you won't be eligible unless you can make one. Okay. Bonus. If you manage to make a TikTok, including both me and Jawad talking in the same clip and an edit, okay, you don't have to do this, right? This is not essential. You can just post a normal TikTok, and if it does phenomenally well, then you might be the winner, especially if nobody else posts TikTok. But bonus, if you manage to make a TikTok, including both me and Jawad talking in the same clip, you get bonus points, meaning, and I'll show you one that I did for an example. Okay. Cause it has all three. It has the edit that I put in on the interview, cause I did some overlays of some cool stuff, like their 3D bots and whatnot. And I had, I was talking and then Jawad was talking. So it gives everyone exposure. It gives the actual edits exposure. It gives me exposure. It gives Jawad exposure. You get major bonus points if you can manage to do that. And there's like 20 wicked cool overlays of like the Godzilla, King Kong. So if you're watching the interview, then I think you might just be able to post a TikTok every single minute of the interview. And who knows, maybe if you just comment them all on this tweet and retweet the original tweet, then yeah, that will be really good. Can I enter more than once? That's encouraged. You can enter as many times as you want. Just don't comment the same TikTok in the same comment. You know what I mean? So when you comment your TikTok, just comment the TikTok. Okay. And I don't know, like I just want it to be simple. Just comment the TikTok. And if you want to, right, if you really want to, then you can obviously, comment the interview, but no pressure. I just think it would be cool because it would share the interview. And this was one of the best interviews I think I've done for people that are interested in where the metaverse is going. These guys have been in the game for a while. Jawad has been in the game for a while. And I think it will really help put things into perspective for people interested. So let me go over here. Now, if you just search jcrypto_YT TikTok, you'll find my TikTok. You don't have to do this. I'm just saying. And this is one of my TikToks.
Virtua Metaverse CEO
if there's many companies that are as advanced as you guys and have the experience you guys have. So definitely leading the space in a lot of ways, it feels like.
It sort of plays to our wheelhouse. I mean, like, this is the thing, that when we set this thing up, we had a very clear vision of where we wanted to get. And so we went through this really painful period last year where everyone was like posting a JPEG.
Okay. So let me show you this too. I'm going to take off my video. So for my caption, I just put my interview with Jawad from Virtua, #Cardano, #JCrypto, #Virtua. You can make a caption, like whatever caption you want, and that's totally cool. So you can decide that, but those are the 3 hashtags that I said I was looking for. So those are like bonus points, but again, it's going to be subjective. Like I'm going to have fun. I'm going to look at all the TikToks. I'll probably repost some. If you want to follow me or tag my TikTok in your TikTok, That's some bonus points too. And I'm probably going to post some of the TikToks that people make on my YouTube. So if you're growing a TikTok, then even if you don't win, I might still post your TikTok because it's so cool on my YouTube and give your TikTok some exposure, right? So that's pretty much it. See how I was talking, but at the beginning, right, there was an edit, right? It was one of the overlays that I did. And then Jawad also was talking and we were making a point about something. Now I want to see how creative people are. And obviously what does well on TikToks is if you can educate people on a certain topic. So some parts of the interview are probably better than others on that. How do you make a TikTok? Well, first of all, you just go to Google and then you just search how to make a TikTok. Okay. And then you just read. All right. It's pretty simple. Now, a couple of things I should mention is that there is two ways to do this, in my opinion. Number one, you can just take your phone and film the video on your computer. Or number two, right, you can do this. Let me pause for a second here. Okay, so basically what I did is I just airdropped a screen recording. So on the iPhone, and I believe on Androids too, and pretty much everywhere else, you can go to your settings, right? And what I did is I went to Control Center, which is this little thing that's on your iPhone, right? And you can just search more controls because you might not have it, and then bring up screen recording. So it's included controls. And then when you click on this thing from now on, you can just click the screen recording button. So that's how I filmed this, right? I screen recorded the YouTube and then I cropped it. So only the video was there, which is why it's kind of small. It's only this little section here. So that's the other way to do it. Or you can just film it while on your computer. The quality might not be as good, but hey, I mean, it doesn't matter. Plenty of people do that on TikTok. So that's how we're doing this giveaway. It's going to be a medium common plot. Obviously, rectangular is better because I believe it's 2x3 and the floor prices, you can't find a rectangular common. Even the uncommons are cheaper than the first rectangular common medium plot. So, I think that's because there's a lot more space there. And I heard that there's some other cool things about the rectangular plots. Nonetheless, obviously, any of these plots that are medium sized, there's still a good amount of ADA. So I'm not saying that it's 1800. Let's say it's 900 still. And by the way, it's just like a Virtua medium plot too. So if you want to build in Virtua, I think it's a pretty cool deal. So that's pretty much it. Obviously be on the lookout for this, check it out. And you have to retweet and then comment your TikTok. So I will comment mine because you can just take the link. I can just take the link. There's a copy link right here, and you can just copy the link of your TikTok. If you want to just find it on Google or airdrop the link, you can even just share it from your phone and copy the link and then comment it on the first tweet. So the first tweet, and I will pick a winner in a week. And hopefully this inspires more people to make TikToks, and hopefully somebody grows a brand from starting out this way and making TikToks, and who knows what happens, man. But I really wish you guys and girls luck. I'm excited to give away something this big. And yeah, it's complicated, but you know what? It's not about me getting followers on Twitter. It's about getting more content on TikTok. It's about rewarding people that are creative. And I just think it's more fun this way. And I don't want a bot to win. I'm really afraid that bots will win these Twitter giveaways. And I don't like to do the Twitter giveaways because there's so many bots, guys. Like, I don't know if you know this, but there's just a lot of bots on Twitter. So, that's what I got to say. You can post, a million TikToks and comment them all, and I'll be happy about it. And I'll still go through them all. You have my word. There's 1,000 TikToks. I'll go through them all. I'll check them all out. So that's it. So that's the giveaway details. And I look forward to seeing your TikToks. Good luck. Good luck.